Hey y'all, I'm Ali. Welcome to Little Hill Homestead. I'm filming this again because my mic was hanging on the floor and all you could hear was it hitting my pants the whole time I talked. Joys of filming. Anyways, I had, and it's hard because I can't, maybe I'll try to insert a clip of it. We bake our fresh bread every week and I had an extra loaf of bread. And typically I will make breadcrumbs, but I don't need any more breadcrumbs right now because I made some a couple weeks ago. We just haven't used them up. Anyways, we were recently, we're in the middle of the pantry challenge right now. We're actually at the tail end of the pantry challenge because to us it's still January. We made shrimp, breaded shrimp, and we needed panko breadcrumbs, and we didn't have any. That was an oversight on my part. I always have them in the house. This is my theory. If you run out of something, look up if you can make it yourself. Because like for me, if I was to buy panko breadcrumbs, I'd be spending like $4 on a box that I'm not gonna use the whole thing. It's gonna go stale, I'm gonna throw them away. Get what I mean? So today I'm gonna show you guys how we made panko breadcrumbs, and they literally were the same as what we would buy. The other thing I'm gonna show you guys is how to make Italian breadcrumbs. If you've seen our channel before, we have a regular breadcrumb video. I will link it here below or whatever. But Italian breadcrumbs are something we don't use a ton of, but when we need them, you just throw some Italian seasoning and salt in them, you guys. I'll show you guys how to make those. Then I had a request from one of you guys asking, how do you make dairy-free breadcrumbs? So we make a basic sandwich loaf on the channel. We make it in our bread machine. I'm gonna be showing you really soon how to do it in a KitchenAid. I'll probably do it next week when I do our bread restock for the week. But train of thought just went down the train to, what was it? Oh, dairy-free. So the thing with our sandwich bread is we do use butter, which is dairy, and we use milk, which is dairy. So the thing you can do to sub it out is you can use regular old oil. We use avocado oil in our recipe sometimes if I'm out of butter or don't have any that I want to use. Or if you don't have milk, the options that you can use a milk alternative, almond milk or oat milk or something along those lines, or just add a little more water. It's not a big deal. If you have like powdered coconut milk, like the powdered version, you can add some of that too, or coconut milk. So basically that would be the best way to make a dairy-free bread. Then you would just proceed to make these the exact same way and they'd be dairy-free. So for panko, what I did, hold on, I can show you.
Small interruption. I'm
You
done.
just never know what you're gonna get on Little Hill Homestead. That was Shawn's Christmas gift. We got him a little teeny little guitar. It makes me think of like a ukulele. All right, so I am doing a voiceover for this part. So all I did was take all of the crust off of an old loaf of bread. It was a brand new loaf, but we just weren't gonna get to it before it got too stale. So I basically just took the crust off like you would for a kid's sandwich, but in like the whole thing. And then just talked my way through this, I guess. I don't know what I was talking about. Anyways, I just keep cutting until you end up with a giant white loaf and no crust. Then all I did was use this knife that I have. I don't know what I'm talking about. Girlfriend likes to talk too much. All I did was cube up our bread into little tiny cubes that fit nicely into our food processor so we could process it really quickly into like a nice fine breadcrumb texture. You'll see that part, but there's our naked bread, basically, is what you just created. Okay, we're gonna cube it up and get to it. All I did was run it through my food processor to get a really fine little crumble. Doesn't that look like panko already? Interesting, isn't it? So all I'm gonna do is spread this out onto a baking sheet. I have my oven at 250 degrees. The thing with panko is you want it to dry out, but you don't want it to toast. So we do this in small increments at a low temperature to try to avoid it getting too toasty. I got a piece right here that it's kind of big. The other thing with panko is sometimes breadcrumbs, I think regular commercial breadcrumbs are a little bit finer than what commercial panko are. So I do leave these just a slight bit bigger. I don't know if you can see the texture, but it's beautiful. Anyways, I'm gonna pop these in the oven. And then while those are in the oven, I'm gonna show you how we make Italian breadcrumbs out of regular breadcrumbs because it's super easy. Back to the basics, y'all. If you got breadcrumbs or you got some white bread or whatever bread you've got, this has to be white bread. Breadcrumbs can be anything. You could dig out hot dog, hamburger, you could eat throw some pretzels in there. I don't care. Whatever you want. So I'm gonna put this in the oven. I'm setting my timer 7 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes, I'll start checking it and just giving it a little stir. Like I said, you don't want it to brown, but you do want it to dry out. So there we go. I'm gonna get my stuff for my Italian breadcrumbs to show you guys that. Okay, this is Italian breadcrumbs. You guys ready? These are the breadcrumbs that we just keep this big jar in the cabinet. These, by the way, when you make breadcrumbs, last forever because you've dried all the moisture out of them. So we keep a big jar. I'd probably refill this every couple months, but whatevs, it's fine. So you need 1 cup of breadcrumbs. There's something in my bowl. All right, we need 1 cup going in. Whoop. All right, 1 cup of breadcrumbs. I like to get in there and just make sure there's no chunks when I use them. Sometimes mine clump. It's just because there's no anti-caking stuff or anything funky in them, so we're good. Okay, 1 cup of breadcrumbs. This can be multiplied and stored, made as Italian breadcrumbs, by the way. We just don't use them all that often, so I do it when I need it. Half a teaspoon of salt of choice. I'm using Himalayan. You can use sea salt. You could use Celtic salt. You could use table salt. I don't care. Salt. Then you need 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. This is we have pre-made Italian seasoning. Eventually I will show you how we make Italian seasoning so you can stop buying it. But honestly, Italian seasoning sometimes is less expensive to buy pre-made than it is to buy all the spices to make your own. Great, right? Give that a whirl, y'all. And that, my friends, I'm just breaking it up a little bit more. That's Italian breadcrumbs. I told you it's the simplest thing in the whole world. Your Italian seasoning is pre-mixed in with your bread. You know you have a good quality bread because if you're like me, you made it. But like I was saying, go through your cabinet. When I go through my cabinet, so every Friday we have kitchen clean out day. I start in the morning, usually while I'm drinking getting my coffee ready. I will go through the fridge and I'll pull out any old containers of food or funky stuff to get the dishwasher going with all the, stuff from the week before. But I will go through our bread cabinet, our cheese drawers, our fruit drawers, and pull out anything we need to use quickly or we need to use up within the next week. Then I know how to plan my grocery trip for the following week. We plan our grocery trips on Fridays. We go on Saturdays. So in this case, when I cleaned out my pantry, I was like, well, I have a whole loaf of bread that is getting to the kind of end of its life. What can I do with it? Breadcrumbs, dude. There you go. Anyways, there's our Italian breadcrumbs. I'm going to go stir our panko and make sure we're doing well on those. What's it look like? It's only been in there for about 5 minutes, so let me see where we are. Oops. No toasting, nothing like that. We're just going to give it a stir. They're really not dried out at all yet, so. Okay, pop them back in. I'm going to check them in another couple minutes. Okay, so our panko is now done. It took maybe, 25 minutes. I just was stirring it every 4 or 5 minutes. See how nice and light it stays? It's not toasty, but it's completely dried out. I wanted to show you in comparison to our regular breadcrumbs, you can see quite the difference in color. This also has crusts in it from hamburger buns or whatever. But if you're making a panko, it's nice and airy, it's crispy, and how easy was that? We also made our Italian breadcrumbs. Like I said, you can make these in big batches and store them in a container just like this if you use a lot of Italian breadcrumbs. Super easy. And there you guys go. If there's other flavors of breadcrumbs that you purchase that you're curious about or I don't know what other breadcrumbs there could possibly be, but I think I have you covered. If you have any questions, let me know below. I appreciate you as always.